All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ben and Danielle Reviews. And I am here with Andrew and Jamie today, and we are going to be talking a little bit about games that we played in 2024, things that we were surprised by, and things that we're looking forward to in 2025. And for me, 2024, I played a lot of games in 2024. I'll pull up the stats here by year. I had. That's not right. That is definitely not right. Insight. I think it was almost 600 games I had played, or 600 plays. I played about 350 games. And it is not showing up right now, but yeah. Insights. Yes, so I played 281 different games. I played 583 total plays. And yeah, that was. What about for you two? Do you have any
we were
idea?
just talking about how I have no recollection of what games I played in 2024, but thanks. And I also don't take notes on what games I've played, but Ben just helped me out a little bit and gave me a bit of a refresher. So now I can say I definitely played some games.
Awesome.
For me, I don't really keep track. I write some stuff in a notebook, but I should start using BG Stats.
It's all right. Yeah, it's a little obsession for me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Playing and logging every single stat I have, but at the end of the year, you have a big list of things, and then if someone asks me, "Hey, when do we play such and such game?" Well, I can say you played such and such game on March 10th with myself, Jamie, Sharita, and Eli.
This was very helpful. Like 5 minutes ago.
We also played such and such game and such game.
Yep.
We played it at this place. But yeah, so that's do I need that many stats? No, but well, okay, that's the way it is. So according to stats, I played 87 games last year with you, Andrew. And any guess for you, Jamie? How many plays we got in?
Probably like 200.
340.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. A lot of that was at the end of the year, though, when we played on BGA a lot. We also had our Wednesday and Saturday gaming. Not sure what stats I have beyond that. Yeah, it says Jamie's win percentage was 33%.
Nice.
And Andrew's win percentage was 43%.
Ooh. Maybe I do need to start tracking my stats so that I can,
Yeah. Yes. Were there any games that we had played for the first time that were surprising? Like maybe you didn't think you'd like as much as you did, but you enjoyed them quite a bit?
I'd say Raw was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not usually too big into auction games, but that was one I actually like a lot.
Yeah.
Raw's a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had, when we were, scrolling through that list, I was like, Raw was good. I had fun with Raw. Also, my memories of Raw are now forever linked with saltwater taffy.
Yep.
So
yes.
that's that.
Oh yeah, we need to share that.
All I remember is that in order to get saltwater taffy from my giant bag of saltwater taffy, you needed to invoke Raw. That's all I remember.
Oh yeah, that was. And we're not at level up anymore, so there has been no taffy since.
Very sad.
Yes.
So someone needs to bring taffy anyways.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
On a semi-related note, that leads to my segue of talking about where we have been. We have been at Duluth's Best Bread in Superior on Wednesdays. And so they have pastries and breads and pretzels and coffee there. And yeah, so we're there from 5 to 8 every Wednesday playing games there. And that's been pretty fun. It's a little
That's been
smaller
good.
space. Yeah. But I think it's gone pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
We had a decent turnout for Crokinole on Wednesday.
Yep.
Was there like 9 of us, 10 of us, something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So if anyone wants to come by on Wednesdays from 5 to 8 p.m. and play some board games, we're doing code names this week. It's
Which code names?
I think just the original code names.
Okay.
I might bring Duet, but I'm just probably going to just have just the regular code names. And yeah, see what happens with that. Yeah, we might segue into other games quite quickly, but who knows?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it can't be any worse than our last interaction or last try playing that, is what I say.
I have heard of this time.
Fun times. People aren't here to defend themselves, so yeah. Yeah. So were there any other surprises from 2024?
Well, seeing as I again, mostly blacked out on what I'd actually played. I don't know if this was a surprise, but I enjoyed El Grande quite a bit.
Same here.
So, picking that up as like a more or less like, I think I'd played it once in the long past, and then, bought a copy because I was like, why not? I think it was also because I was like, I go to this collector's connection all the time and, never purchase anything. So let's actually purchase something. And, it was pretty good. Good area control game, like pretty much, I'd say if you want, there's a few like slightly simpler area control games that I'd be like, if you want to play my first area control, I might recommend you these. But like, if you want a good medium weight area control, El Grande, I feel like is pretty good.
Yep.
First off, support your local game stores.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, yes, this is a very fun game. It did not make my top 50 this year. It was in my top 100, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so. And Toledo is always a happening place. And
Yes.
it's the one game where people actually want to go to Ohio.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If you don't get that joke, you got to play El Grande.
Yes. Or go to Ohio. Either or.
Okay. Let's see. El Grande. Where did it land in my top 100? Keep scrolling. 85. It's my number 85 this year.
Okay.
So I should mention it just because it's not going to be mentioned in my top 50. So yeah. Big surprise for me this year was the fact that my board game collection grew a lot, and I did not get rid of very many games, and I bought a bunch of games.
Same here.
And a lot of games I didn't get around to playing that I bought.
My collection has been pretty stagnant. Like, I'm still adding a few games here and there, but not many. Like, I doubt I bought more than... I might have hit 5. I doubt I exceeded 10.
But that's also a healthy number, though, whereas Jamie and I, we just buy a bunch of games just because we like to buy games.
Mm-hmm.
I also work at a game store, so it's a lot easier for me just to be like, especially if I have the passwords to our distributor carts and I can just add things to the carts.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Whoever put me in charge of that should... I'm questioning them, but... I do end up buying that stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I have a whole like list of games that I want to get in 2025. I could honestly do like a whole top 100, honestly.
I got a few.
I have like two. Well, do I have two? There's two I'm looking out for. And then we'll see if anything gets, jogs the brain cells as
Okay. So, Jamie.
Yep.
Are there any games coming out in 2025 that you're super looking forward to?
There's a few. The new Azul game, Azul Duel. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
Mad Kala is one I'm looking forward to.
Okay. Yep.
Tend.
A 10?
Tend, it's like a
Is
roll and right, flip and right type thing, and you're like scratching off stuff.
that the AEG game?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
And then there's like a few expansions. The X-Men Dice Throne, Final Girl Season 3. Marvel Champions has some new sets coming out that I'm looking forward to. And then Unmatched Adventures Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah. That should be crowdfunding pretty soon, shouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Start the campaign.
I had a Ninja Turtles phase more recently than I would care to admit.
Hey. Ninja Turtles, especially the original cartoon, is actually better than people give it credit for. But, yeah. Is there anything on the docket for Andrew for 2024 game?
So the two that I have off the top of my head, and I've been looking at these for a while. So there is I've been enjoying Flamme Rouge. There is a new expansion coming out, and it seems like, this isn't certain, but it seems like some of the older expansions, which a lot of people consider like must-haves for that game, or there's one specifically, the Peloton expansion, that's considered like a must-have. It sounds like that might be getting like re-released along with the new expansion. Not like in the box, but just like it's been pretty unavailable. So it sounds like that might have more availability coming up. So keeping my eye on that. So, and there are people who've been excited about this new expansion coming out for a while because it's like been years in the making, and like they thought it was going to come out like 5 years ago, and
Wow.
it didn't. So it's been a while. But the other one I'm looking forward to is Innovation. So I got a chance to play Innovation over the last year, and I played it with 4 people, which is not the suggested player count. From what I've heard, is it's really good as like a 2-player game, maybe as a 3-player game, maybe not as a 4-player game. So I wasn't blown away by my play with 4 players, but I still liked what I saw enough that I'm looking forward to the new edition of Innovation coming out. So if you don't know, Innovation, I didn't really explain Flamme Rouge. It's a biking game. It's a really simple biking game. I like it. Innovation is a card game about building up your civilization with new innovations. And like it's a deck of 110 cards, but the combinations just get wild. So this is the 4th edition that's coming out, is kind of part of a Innovation Ultimate, which combines a whole bunch of previous expansions with the base game. They're also just re-releasing the base game.
Awesome.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome.
Nice.
Jamie? Anything?
I already mentioned the stuff from 2025.
Okay, cool. So, for me, one of the games, kind of putting someone on the spot here, one of the games I had on my list was Be Gone.
No, that's probably not going to happen, Ben.
That's never gonna. Is that ever
I
gonna
don't know if
happen?
that's going to happen.
Never. Okay.
That's a game that I designed for a 2-player contest last year, and
Okay.
it did all right. It didn't do great.
Okay.
There just hasn't been like I don't know. Hasn't seemed like there's been much interest moving on, but
Okay, perfect. That's totally fair. Another one for me, Cats and Dragons. Another one coming out by it's Randy Flynn who did Cascadia, and it's a game about you're leading a group of cats fighting dragons. And what more could you want out of a game than cats and dragons?
Yeah.
that's fair.
You got cats battling dragons. Another one I'm looking forward to is a Coral Castle. It is like an indie. It's a first to publish, I think, and it's looks like a lot like Reef in a way.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah, and the cover is gorgeous. I reached out to the designer of the game for more information, and he sent me some links to some stuff. Also, looking forward to Everbloom. It should be another really pretty cover. That one should be a pretty good game. Let's see. There's a Smurfs game, a cooperative game coming out that I'm excited for. Let's see. I had Party Panda Pirates should probably be coming out. That one's inspired by Mario Party, so I guess you're going around a board and you're doing different mini games and things.
I feel like that's a game where totally the name came first and then the design afterwards.
Sure. Another one I talked to the designer about is a game called Raising Rabbits. It's a game about raising rabbits for a show, and it's a card game. And then one of the last ones I'm looking forward to is Raw and Write. So it is going to be a roll and write version of Raw.
Yep.
That's not an
Need to
instant buy.
stop with these roll and writes.
What? And then also, the last one is a game by the Op. It is called Tea Witches, designed by the same person that designed Flamecraft and the same artist. And you are running a tea stand during a witch festival and trying to sell tea and make the most money selling tea to these witches during this witch festival. Yeah. So I think it's their third game because they did Flamecraft and they did Critter Kitchen and now they're doing Tea Witches. Published by the Op, and so we've done some videos for them on the channel, so hopefully this will be a game that we'll get to review later on in the year if it comes out. Fingers crossed on that. Those are some games I'm looking forward to. Looking forward to hopefully culling down some games from the collection that aren't getting played, because I realize that now I want to play a lot more newer games, and I don't find myself going back to as many games.
Mm-hmm.
But also I feel like I'm forced to play older games by some people.
Me?
Yeah.
Older games are good, Ben.
Yep.
They I guess one way to think about it is older games, people still know them because they've stood the test of time. Whereas the new games coming out, they haven't had the test of time yet. So
That's fair.
Quality may vary.
Yeah. Quality does vary sometimes. Especially if you're playing them on BGG and they're still in beta testing and bugs are guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes makes the games unplayable, but still fun to check them out sometimes.
Yeah.
Let's see.
As you were chatting, I did think of a game that surprised me this last year. Another
Yep.
one that surprised me.
Yeah.
Have either of you played Creature Comforts yet?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Okay. So I went into Creature Comforts kind of expecting it to just not be my cup of tea, because it's another it feels very, or it looks very Everdell-y. So, and you're like creatures, little woodland creatures trying to make like a nice little home for yourself with nice little things.
Mhm.
So I wasn't expecting to like it. And I don't know if I would say I loved the game, but I liked it more than I thought I would. It has a pretty interesting like dice thing where um, basically, I played it once, so I'm not an expert. But all of the different places you can go are triggered by some dice. You need to get some combination of dice. And you
Mhm.
place your workers for those before you know what dice you have to roll. Like you see 2 dice that everyone can use. I think this is how it works. It might be the other. I might be totally wrong. Read the rules if you're interested. But you know some dice, but not all dice before you make the selection. And then you roll the rest of your dice. And then you go ahead and like use your stuff.
Okay.
So that was, yeah, it had more going on in a good way. So I'm not huge on Everdell. It's kind of fallen in favor for me. And I could see Creature Comforts being like the game I would play instead of Everdell. So.
That's a hot take. Okay.
That's
All
one
right.
I'd really like to try.
Yeah. So I have yet to play this game. It's been on my list of games to get for the last like few years, but I guess I'm just kind of just looking out for like either a good deal or a review copy or a used copy or something. But I've not yet played a KTBG game that I've actually like enjoyed.
Okay.
I've just found that like the mechanics to be a little bit too light for me.
Yeah. No.
But is it?
I'd recommend.
Yeah. So is it as light as it seems for worker placement games, or is there some chunk
I
to it?
would say so. Like it's pretty forgiving. I'm trying to remember. I think it's exclusionary worker placement. Is it? I don't remember. Maybe it's not. I don't think it is. Let's say it's not. So like, what I'd say is the interesting thing about it is that tension of like, I don't know for sure that I will be able to trigger this action based on what the dice are. So like, you're kind of having to say, is it worth sending a worker here, even though they might not actually be able to do that thing? And that's an interesting decision.
Okay.
But it's still pretty chill. Pretty
Okay.
chill.
So Jamie and I played Harvest by Keymaster Games, which is I guess it's kind of like a similar sort of thing. It's like a lighter weight, like cutesy sort of worker placement farming game,
Mm-hmm.
which had like cute like animals but it's more farming based. But that was pretty light on the worker placement scale, and it's got different types of resources and stuff. But it reminded me of Creature Comforts, I guess.
Okay.
But, which I was okay with the game, but I didn't like think that it's one that I need to rush out and get or anything like that. Yeah.
Trying to remember what you said that triggered the Creature Comforts memory. I have no recollection, but you said something, and I was like, oh, Creature Comforts.
Just games that we were surprised by.
It was something about the list of games that you just gave about that you were like looking forward to.
Oh yeah, lots
So.
lots of cute animal games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of those.
Fair.
Also, another game I'm hoping will come out at some point that I'm starting to lose my hope in is Adventures in Neverland. It is a like story-driven like map exploration game that takes place in the Peter Pan universe. You play as characters in that, but I think they did the Kickstarter campaign like 2018 or something.
Wow.
2020, something like that, one of those times, and they're just like not giving any sort of updates on their Kickstarter about that. And yeah, so it's slated for 2025, but it was also slated for like 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. But I just found out about it recently, and I'm wanting this game to exist because I want to own it and I want to play it. But will it come out, or was it just a scam? I don't know. That was one. I was definitely looking forward to. Raising Rabbits was definitely one.
Might have been the Raising Rabbits. That might
Raising
have done it
Rabbits, yeah.
for me.
Yeah. It's one I talked to the designer a little bit about and was looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to the Isaac Myers new game. He designed the Expressions.
Mhm.
He's got a camping game that I'm excited about. I'm gonna reach out to him for see what he's got planned for that. Yeah. See what else anyone else have anything that they're super duper excited about?
I
Talking
haven't-
about a game that's been coming out for, or going to come out for a few years. The Dark Quarter is one that I'm interested in.
Oh, yes. That was on my short list for sure. But when is it coming out though? Because I feel like it's been slated to come out for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm. I don't know too much about it, but I'm hoping it's this year. I'd like to hear more about it.
But I feel like a thematic game that from Van Ryder and
Mm-hmm.
from the creators of Chronicles of Crime, like it can't be a bad game, right?
Hopefully not.
Right.
No.
I think my problem is I just don't really look into like new games coming out. I just kind of watch reviews of games that have come out. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, that's one of the problems with it. Like sometimes they'll bring them to conventions and preview them and then content creators will play them and talk about them a little bit. But other than that, we don't really get much information about these games firsthand. So it makes it tough to make a whole list. But I definitely have a whole cart of games that from my want to buy list that I'm definitely looking forward to. But also, when I buy the games, I don't always play them right away.
that's fair.
Does anyone have any goals for 2025 that they want to talk about?
I have a few.
All right.
One of my goals is to play either 50 or 60 new games. I have it written down. And then I also want to get some new gaming shelves, probably Calyx shelves this year.
Yeah, so I have Calyxes here. They're really nice.
Nice.
Yeah. I think we've also gone with the Target brand and the Walmart brand, and those have been similar enough, and they've held up pretty decently.
I use garage shelving.
Hey.
And it does the job. And I need another one of those because if you can tell, that top shelf is real high right now. So.
Hey. You just got to get taller.
Yeah.
It won't be a problem. You can stack them as high as you want as long as you just grow inches.
The main problem is that there's like a slight bowing in the top shelf.
Yep.
So I think there's just too much weight up there.
Okay. Well, I might stack mine with the new house. I might stack them 3 high instead of 2 high if I see how dangerous I want to live with it. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I have. I think there's 2 games. I don't have a huge shelf of shame. I usually try to play the games that I own. I'm looking here to see if there's any that I know for certain are on my shelf of shame. The 2 that come to mind that I want to get off my shelf of shame, one slightly more realistic than the others. I have Dungeon Pets. I love Lotta Chevadel. I've never played Dungeon Pets. So that just needs to happen at some point. And I still have not bought the copy of Food Chain Magnate or played the copy of Food Chain Magnate that I bought in Superior. So I need to play that at some point.
But you can play it when you come in August to ExcaliburCon.
Do we really want to taint that experience with Food Chain Magnate? It might be a wonderful game. Who knows?
Or hear me out here. After 12 hours of gaming at the convention, we can all just go to my house and play it for another 6 hours of
that sounds perfect.
Game. Yeah. Yeah, I think food needs to happen at some point, but will I enjoy it? I'm not sure, but I think it's going to be an experience I need to have just so that I can fully appreciate other games more.
Yep.
It's like that game of Monopoly you need to play every 3 years to make you appreciate other board games.
I think the difference would be that like Monopoly's pretty much just bad, but like Food Chain Magnate, I don't think it's a question of is it a good game or a bad game. It's more of a question of is this the game for you?
Okay.
Because it has, well, okay, I guess Monopoly has so many more fans than like any of the games we've talked about so far in this video. So, that's just for some perspective. But I don't know. It seems like a lot of people like Food Chain Magnate. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, it's one I definitely need to play it very soon. It's just a matter of playing it.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing that my live stream is private on Facebook, so let's make that public, I guess.
So let's just repeat everything we said over the last 30 minutes.
No, it's live on YouTube still.
Okay. Yeah.
But now it's on Facebook as well.
Okay.
Because reasons. Yeah. So yeah, I was gonna talk about Be Gone, saying like how that needs to be a thing, but seems like you've come to terms with that.
So here's the thing. I would need to talk with Josh about it because he does the art, and like whenever we put something on the Game Crafter, it's much more work for him than it is for me.
Sure, that's fair.
So it's not only a question of do I want to do this, but also do I think Josh would be on board, especially given the, like, what do we expect to be the outcome?
Right.
So
yeah, and that's fair. Like it's a lot of work for like a couple of copies or something. But yeah. So I did rank it this year in my like top 100 whatever, just to see, curious because where it would rank. It ended up being my 101.
Okay.
Which is interesting. I didn't fabricate that at all. It was just where it landed. But yeah, it's definitely something like I enjoyed the plays of the print and play that we did, and it's something that I'd be interested in a physical copy of.
Yeah. I think for me, I personally wish that I would have been able to kind of streamline the actions a little bit more. Because like there are basically only 8 different actions you need to worry about, but each of them is like kind of a whole thing. So I don't know. I think that's part of also why I haven't gone further with it, is just like I think there's some room for improvement that I don't necessarily know that I will be doing.
Sure. When do you do your the solo contest? When is that?
So solo contest runs typically over the summer.
Okay.
This was the 2-player contest. So actually, the 2-player contest should be running right now. However, it's changing moderators, and so far we have not heard anything.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a question mark about what's going to happen with the 2-player contest.
Okay. But you do have games on Game Crafter right now that
I do
are available. Yes.
Let me advertise. I'm here. Yes. Let's advertise. Actually, one of them we never even played. I don't think you guys have ever played Secret Agent. That's actually the one that I've sold the most copies of, mostly to my friends from grad school. But it's a trick taker deduction game. So basically, one person. I won't get into all the mechanics of it, but basically one person kind of chooses the card that will be the trump card. So basically cards of the same suit or with a close number to that are going to win tricks. And then everyone else is trying to win tricks, but also kind of try to figure out what that trump card is. And if you can figure out what the trump card is, you get lots of points. So, and then the other two, you've played Unmasked. So Unmasked is a solitaire up to 2 players if you really want to. Deduction and pattern matching game about trying to catch murderers or criminals of some sort at a masquerade ball. Kind of fun. Actually, you know what? If we're going into full-on advertisement mode,
Yeah,
gonna go grab some copies.
okay. I have a Deadly Mist in front of me right here.
That's the other one I was gonna grab.
Yeah.
So I've actually sold a couple copies of that over the last couple weeks. So that's the solitaire game that I did not this past summer, but the summer before, and that actually ended up getting like 8th place in the contest. And I still enjoy it. It's a survival exploration game that's kind of like a little brutal, but it's fun. Inspired by games like Forbidden Desert, Forbidden Island, but with its own twist. So
Sure. And which one would you recommend for Jamie?
So for Jamie, I don't know what I would recommend. I don't know how much you like deduction games, because Unmasked is very much like a puzzly deduction game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that would be your favorite thing.
I like the one you did that was the logic deduction one.
Yeah.
So
it's along those same
numbers and stuff.
The number one, yep.
Yeah. So it would be, again, along those same lines. So you might like that. It has some fun artwork. And there's also like a nice pattern matching, like slide puzzle mechanic.
I'd really like that, yeah.
So that's Unmasked. And then, I mean, I think what I'd say about Deadly Mist is it's a heavier Forbidden Desert, is kind of how I would describe it in a nutshell. So I think you enjoy Forbidden Desert. It's a more grim, not horror necessarily, but it like the darker side of sci-fi as the theme. So I don't know if that would be as much your thematic choice, but
is that solo or is that how many players?
Those are both solo games.
Solo?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to try.
Yeah. And Ben has a copy with a very, very small rule book.
The Deadly Mist?
Yes.
Yeah, I need to get Unmasked. That one's a fun one. I'm just incredibly terrible at it.
And these are all, so like, let's be totally clear. These are on Game Crafter, which means they are quite expensive. Which, I mean, for the print on demand, it's kind of a case of like, what can you do? But, you know, I think we made a lot of choices to try to keep the price down. So like, they're both in pretty small boxes, so they're nice and portable, but there's like a good amount of content in those. And yeah, so I think we did a good job of trying to keep the footprint small while keeping the game big. So
yeah, because you're just getting kind of like a stack of cards for pretty much with Unmasked, aren't you?
Yeah, a stack of cards. You get a score pad to track your deductions on. I think that's it. Because like you also use that stack of cards to like kind of create the board, because there's like a scoreboard that will show you like what scores what points and all that. So then you use the cards to make that. Similarly with Deadly Mist, there is actually a board, but it's very small. And most of what you're playing on is kind of the Forbidden Desert style, set out a grid of locations, and then you move along those. So
you have to bring it by when you come around again.
There were some component mishaps in the one that Ben has, as mentioned, the very small rule book, and extra large cubes. Those have both been fixed. So
okay, perfect. Because this rule book is.
It was not supposed to be that small. I messed up. That was totally me too. That wasn't Josh. That was me.
And then were you wanting like pandemic size cubes?
Yeah, so like those are just a bit chunkier than I was going for.
Okay. But then you got these, the pawns are really tiny though.
So the pawns are tiny, but it partially looks tiny because of how big the cubes are.
Okay.
Once everything's normal size, it.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. But we can still hold out hope for the other games coming out at some point.
Yeah.
But never say never.
Never say never.
All right. Yeah, definitely. I definitely think Jamie should try Unmasked. It did not quite make my 100, but it was in the conversation. But I think if I was better at it, it might be higher.
You were also playing with the person who designed the game.
Which actually made my enjoyment of the game more so, I think.
Okay.
Because otherwise I would have just been incredibly frustrated by how terrible I am at it.
Oh no.
But I did play it, I'll bring it home and play it solo a couple times, and yeah, it did not go great for me.
Okay.
But you also, there's also a card management aspect to it aside with the deduction.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
yeah.
There's a lot of games on Game Crafter that are cool, but yeah. Do you have any ideas for the solo design? Are you going to participate in that again, you think?
I haven't thought about the solitaire contest. I have a working concept for the 2-player contest should it occur about making soup. So I want to make a soup game. Right now it's a bit too light. I'd like to add some spice to it.
Okay.
In the game, you can add spice to your soups. But anyhow,
okay.
Yeah, that's kind of in the works. I haven't really thought ahead to solo yet, but
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
The reason I ask about all that stuff is because I had someone in the comments of the last video that we did asking for your BGG information, and so it's like, yeah, check out some of the games that you've designed. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. I know for me, I have goals I want to play 100 different new games this year. I don't know the exact number last year just because it was the first year of me tracking new to me games. And so all the games that I had played were technically new to me because I hadn't logged them with the player count, like because BG Stats somehow, for some reason, they only track the games as new games if you add players to them. But according to that, I played 260. It said I played 140 of my own copy games, which doesn't sound right. I feel like I played more than that, but you know. Oh, also last night we played Alhambra.
Yep.
That's an old one.
Yeah. What did you think of that, Jamie?
I liked it. I'd like to try it again.
We also played it at 2 players, which BGA doesn't recommend playing it at 2 players, but I thought it was a pretty good experience. It uses a dummy player, though. Have you played Alhambra? No?
I don't have any good reason why I haven't played it.
Yeah. Yeah. We played that, and then we played St. Petersburg.
Okay.
Which, St. Petersburg is a really great game. Did not make my top 50 this year for some reason, but you never got to play at St. Petersburg when Mark was around, did you?
I did not.
Okay. That was experience. But yeah. I think that wraps it up for everything that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Did we want to say anything about like best? So we did surprise new to me games. Did we want to say anything about like best new to me games?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let me pull that up I think I have that.
I have it too.
I actually have a whole top 10 for that.
I also have a whole top 10 as of like, 5
Okay.
minutes. Well, not 5 minutes ago, more like, 45 minutes ago at this point.
Okay.
But I do have to head out in like 30 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, I guess.
Since since we're talking, since we don't have a ton of time, I'll do like maybe the top 5 that were new to me.
Yeah.
I'd say, and a lot of these are based off of one play. I should give that caveat because I haven't been in a lot of situations where I'm playing the same game over and over again. But so Ben, we played Lost Ruins of Arnak. That was probably what I put as like my 5th for new to me.
Sure.
I liked the kind of blend of like how lightly exploration was weaved into an otherwise like resource management game. Because it is like resource management deck building with just like the slightest hint of exploration and theme to kind of keep you hooked. And I liked that. 4 made some people's lists. Kanar, I did try and liked. 3, I'm not sure if either of you have heard of this game. Distilled.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
We played that this year.
That game?
We played that this year.
Okay. I quite liked Distilled. I also won it by a very wide margin the first time I played. So that might have tainted some things, but it's a game about brewing alcohols, and that's basically what the game's about.
Something we're very passionate about here on this channel.
It's kind of about like balancing, are you going to make this really expensive thing that will pay off in a few turns, or are you going to just do something quick for some quick money so that you can buy ingredients to make other stuff? Nice puzzle. Very nice integration of theme. Liked that. 2, already talked about a little bit, was El Grande, because it's a good game. It's a solid not worker place. It's a solid area control game. No complaints about that. And then this might not be true for very much longer. But I think my number 1 new to me, or at least that I'm most excited to play more of, is Daybreak. So I did bring that next to me.
Okay. Perfect.
So it's a cooperative game from the guy who made Pandemic. And it's about stopping climate change. And I think the environment's important. So the theme works for me. It's a very nice, like terraforming Mars-esque engine building, but in a much shorter experience, and it's cooperative. It's pretty multiplayer solitary at times, which is not usually my thing. And there's a little bit of pacing problems with the game that I don't know if I love, but also of the games I've played of it, I've had a good time. And like those things that would theoretically be problems haven't really turned out to be problems for me yet.
So. Awesome. Sweet. Jamie, do you want to run through our top 10 then?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, talk about those. And then if you ever need to jump off, Andrew, you're welcome to. But a couple of honorable mentions. So Terraforming Mars, I didn't put it on the list this year because I had already played the Ares Expedition, and I kind of just group them together at this point, even though they're mechanically slightly different games. But yeah. Concordia was another one that was played for the first time that I enjoyed. Brass Birmingham was a good one. It's just very much not a game that I'm going to get to the table very much. Same thing with Le Havre. And then Coal Baron is one I quite enjoyed a lot, but we've only played it twice, and it's one that's out of print, so I have to hunt down a copy of it if I'm going to play it in person, but I do think I need to get a copy of that. And then Sky Team was another honorable mention. Do you have any honorable mentions that you want to talk about?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, you just have your 10?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right. What's your number 10?
My number 10 is Nova Luna. And then also with that, like Sagani as well.
Okay,
I like both of them a lot.
cool. And you had Nova Luna in your top 50 this year instead of Sagani, right?
I've only played Sagani, I think, twice.
Okay.
It could switch if once I get a copy of that game, but for now it's Nova Luna.
Yeah, Sagani's not an easy game to get your hands on in America, from my understanding.
Nope.
Okay. So my number 10 is actually a game that Andrew mentioned, and that's Distilled.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. So the theme doesn't exactly appeal to me. I don't like drink or anything anymore. I quit that, but mechanically it's just a really solid game, and it's got some interesting decisions in there, but it also has some cool push your luck aspects to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But those push your luck aspects can be mitigated. And we played it on BGA, so it was nice because it did all the bookkeeping for us, and it answered all the questions of can we do this, or well, the answer is no, because the game tells you no, which that's one of the benefits of playing on BGA is
Yep.
you make sure that you get the rules right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say one thing, just a word of warning if you ever play the physical version, it's very much a table hog and the text is very small. So like
Okay.
when I was playing it the first time, I was very far away from the row of cards. So I had to like ask people to pass me the row of cards so I could read them because I couldn't read
Oh
it
yeah.
from across the table.
Yep.
So there's some practical problems with the game, but that you might not be aware of if you played it only on BGA.
Mm-hmm.
I came so close to picking up a copy of this game when they had like Amazon Black Friday deals or something like that. It was one of those deal days that they had. They had one for like $40, and I almost bought it, but I didn't because I hadn't played it by that point.
Mm-hmm.
Had I played it at that point, I probably would have picked it up. But yeah, I'm worried about it being a table hog. I'm hoping when I get my place and I can break out the big table again and use that. That was my number 10, Distilled.
My number 9 is World Wonders. It's a polyomino style game.
Yeah, I have not played that yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's one that I want to play. Do you own the physical copy of that then?
Yep. I own all of these.
Okay. I own 1, 2, 3, 4. I own 7 of them.
Nice.
Ironically enough, it's my top 7. And then number
I
8.
own 2 of the ones that were on my top 10 list.
Okay. But my number 8 is one I don't own, but I don't need to own it. Okay. So my number 9 is a game I don't own just because I don't think I'm going to play it much. And it's because it's so heavy that it's just not going to hit the table very much. And that's Darwin's Journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's a worker placement game where you're researching evolution. It's very much similar to the game Encyclopedia and like worker placement game. And you got these different worker placement spots that you're going to and stuff. But it's it's just really a heavy game, and you just kind of have to relearn it every time you play it. So I haven't actually pulled the trigger on buying it, but I enjoyed my play of it on BGA. All right.
My number 8 is a sequel to a game from 2019. It's Wormspan.
All right.
It's a really fun engine building game, and you're building like this tableau of cards, and yeah.
So are all your 10 in your top 50 then?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Because I know this one replaced Wingspan for you.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So, Andrew, where are you at with the whole Wingspan, Wormspan?
I've seen some there's some threads on BGG about like, do we need another Wingspan? And then people making very insightful points about like, we have so many pandemics and no one cares about that.
Yep.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So I think it's probably good to adopt a similar view. Wingspan's one that's grown on me a little bit over time. And I don't know if I love it to the point where I need to either A, buy it, or B, buy a version of Wingspan, period. Maybe I'll get there, but not yet.
Okay. And then we have Finspan coming out, which
Yep.
no one mentioned it with upcoming games. What's up with that?
It's one I'm looking forward to. I'm definitely going to try it.
Okay. I'm going to probably end up getting suckered into buying a copy just because Sharita's going to want a copy of it. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I'm fine with Wingspan and Wormspan for now. But hey, maybe Finspan will surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My number 8 is a game. I don't own it because I already bought one copy of it already for Sharita for her birthday. And that is Wonderland's War.
Yep.
Wonderland's War is it's a 2-part game. So it's drafting and then it's area control. So very much like Blood Rage in that aspect. But the combat is all a bag building where you're pulling from a bag, pulling a chip out of a bag. Kind of like with Quacks of Quedlinburg or such. And yeah, it's area control game and takes place in the world of Wonderland. And it's got all the characters from that, plus a few new ones that are exciting. And I highly recommend the upgraded pieces if you can for the game. Wonderland's War. And
What's the playtime for that one?
It says 30 minutes per player, but usually it's 2.5 hours.
Okay.
So it's a jaunt for sure, but it's fun.
Okay.
I think it plays a little longer than Blood Rage, but it also just depends on who's teaching the game and how many questions people have throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a game that isn't as heavy as it seems, which I appreciate that aspect of it. All right, that's my number 8, Wonderland's War.
My number 7 is Clank Catacombs. This is the only catacomb or Clank game I've played, and it's fun. Instead of having a static board, you have tiles that you're exploring instead, and it's just one I really enjoy, and I really want to try Clank Legacy at some point.
Right. Yeah, that should be something that we should play at some point, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. My number 7 is a game I played all the way through twice this year.
Nice.
And that's My City.
Mm-hmm.
So My City is a polyomino, a legacy game in which you are building up your own city. And there's going to be, with every new scenario, there's going to be rules in place that you need new rules. And I think it's 24 scenarios.
Yep.
And it's fun. Definitely don't recommend playing them all in one sitting, because if given the choice, Shrita will do that. I mean, I have done that a few times with the roll and write, and yeah, I think I'm cool with the scenario or two at a time. But it's a fun game, and it's one that Jamie and I started playing like one scenario of it.
Yep.
And possibly play more of it at some point, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm down. I want to
Cool.
try it.
Awesome. My City by Reiner Knizia.
My number 6 is Far Away. It's a card game where you're scoring in reverse, and I really like the puzzle of it. Figuring out how to lay down the cards in your tableau, and yeah.
Awesome. Have you played Far Away? I feel
No,
like that's...
I think so. I think I asked the question during Jamie's top 50. I've been cautious because it seems like it might be more brain burny than I'd really want, but it sounds like maybe it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I
maybe
think for some people it would be. For me, it's not, but I think others it would be.
I feel like if you play Red 7, then this would be a piece of cake for you.
Red 7 isn't that bad, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. I feel like I would like Far Away better if I didn't play it so much. I feel like maybe I've just played enough of it this year that I'm just, you get tired of it after a while.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. My number, is that number 6?
Yep, we just did 6.
Okay. My number 6 is a racing game, Heat Pedal to the Metal.
Nice.
And it is a really fun, like hand management, card playing racing game. And it plays 6 players pretty easily.
Yep.
And so it's one of those strategy games that's like fun. It doesn't take too long to play and can fit 5 players or 5 to 6 players pretty easily. And I enjoy that about it. And they have a new game coming out by the Op later on in the year that looks a lot like Reef and Cascadia. That's like a forest game that's really pretty that I'm looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Hutan or something like that. See if I can pull up a copy of it while Jamie's talking about her next one. Yeah, Hutan, Life in the Rainforest.
That team makes good games.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Number 5.
Yep, my number 5 is a solo only game. It's called Under Falling Skies. There's going to be this mothership, and ships are going to be coming down, and it's kind of like Space Invaders. You're going to be trying to shoot them down and doing dice placement on different worker placement spots, or just spots. And it's just one I enjoy, and I want to play the campaign at some point.
Cool. Awesome. So you've only played the introduction scenario.
There's the introduction, and then there's like a few special powers you can do or something.
Okay.
I've done those, but I haven't went into the campaign part of it yet.
Awesome. I'm looking at this game right now. It's on my shelf. I've never played it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My number 5 is a game that is a French game that I was able to track down a copy in Canada for. I'm hoping it'll come to America at some point, but I've really enjoyed my plays of it, and that is Colorado.
This is ironic that it's a French game called Colorado that you can't get in America.
Yes, that I had to get from Canada. And it's and it's a game about the Wild West too, if it makes you feel any better. Which, if you think Colorado, what do you think of? The Wild West.
I think Square.
Yes. So it is a call and write game. So it's like roll and writes, except for you're playing cards. It's like Go Fish meets Yahtzee, which is 2 of Andrew's favorites, I'm sure.
Yahtzee has some interesting probability stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So it has colored cards numbered 1 through 3, and you're building out sets of 3 in that color, and each color has a certain power that works for you and other players when it's played down. And you are exploring a map just like in Darwin's Journey, but in a much more lighter sense. And yeah, you have your dry erase markers that you're marking on your own board, and you're just trying to get as many points by exploring different regions in Colorado. It has the Go Fish in this game is actually pretty interesting, I think. And there's a lot of roll and righty combos in this game that are really fun.
Mm-hmm.
So Andrew might like this game for roll and rights or bourbon rights. All right. Number 4?
4, yep. My number 4 is Harmonies. It's a puzzly style game that I've played both in person a lot and on BGA, and it's just one that I've really enjoyed.
Awesome. Harmonies is really good, and it should be on this list. It really should. So I forgot about it when I was doing my top 10 of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I did not put any games on here that were 2024 games, but this would have been on both those lists had I done so.
Yep.
And the more plays of this, I think the higher it goes for me. And my number 4 is going to be Raw by Reiner Knizia, which we talked a lot about it, so I'm not going to talk too much about it right now. But it's a good game, and 25th Century has a beautiful production for this game. They got an expansion coming out this year. Plus, they have a Roll and Write coming out this year. So check out the Roll and Write, check out the expansion.
I did have that at number 9 for me.
Yeah.
So.
Cool.
My number 3 is Village Rails. It's a card game about laying these tracks down, and they have different symbols on them, and you're trying to. And then there's also these goal cards that you can lay down on the tracks, and once you complete a track, you score everything on the different symbols on the track, and then the goal cards on there, and it's just a really interesting tableau puzzle type card game that I like.
Awesome. I need to try this, I think. I mean, it never appealed to me, but I gotta try it.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's one before it called Village Green, which is a simpler version.
Okay.
I like that one too.
Awesome. But you like the more complex one and Village Rails better?
Yep.
All right. So my number 3 is probably my favorite game right now that's not available in the US, that's available overseas. And that is a little card game from Bombix called Eloa. So it is a game about, it's a card game which you are managing resources. You have this campfire where it's got 6 cards around the campfire. And each card, you're going to add 1 card to your hand every turn. And each card is going to have certain costs that you need to play it down. And with each card, there's a number associated with that of how many resources around the campfire that you can take with it. And you are just collecting resources and playing these different tribesmen and these different items. And it's a cool card game that plays really well on BGA. One gripe I will have about it is it's a small card box, and so a lot of the components are like tiny, and it's hard to like stack them and pick them up when you're playing the physical version. But yeah, so you got piles like falling over all over the place. But the gameplay of it is really fun, and I am looking forward to it coming to America hopefully soon. Last time I talked to people at Bombix, they have no plans for currently, but that could change soon. Fingers crossed with that.
Yep.
All right.
My number 2 is The Veil of Eternity. It's a combo-y card game where you're going to be each taking a turn drafting cards, and then you can either put them into your hand, play them, or sell them for money. And it's just been one that I've really enjoyed, and it's interesting to see all the different combos.
Awesome. Sweet. My number 2 is a game that Andrew already talked about, and that's Gnar. That is a game where you're managing your own Viking clan, and you're playing cards, and you are exploring different regions in a race to get to, is it 40 points? 60
40
points?
points, yep.
40 points, yes. And such. And there's different things you manage, like your reputation and different types of clan members and such. It's a really cool engine building game that actually plays faster than people might think. When you first start the game, you think, oh, this is going to last forever. And then after like 4 turns, you're like, oh, well, someone's already close to winning. How did that happen?
Here's something I don't think I said about that game. Um, it might have killed Furnace for me. I don't know if I feel a need to buy Furnace now that I've played Gnar.
Okay. Furnace is a fun game. It's got some interesting drafting and engine building aspects. I think they're different enough to own both, but okay, that's just me, I guess.
They're totally different. Let me
Yeah.
be clear.
Yep.
But like, I think for me, they would probably take up the same spot in my collection, and I think I might need to play Gnar a few more times before I make that decision. But I think Gnar would take the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had already played Furnace prior to this year, so I wouldn't have put it on the list.
Mhm.
But it's in my top 100 as well. All right. And number one.
My number one is for Shuffle. You're going to be playing these trees down and then putting cards down in the up, down, left, and right of those trees, and they score in many different ways. Some are like set collection. Others, you're trying to get stuff into your cave. There's 2 expansions to this game. I have the first one, and I'm looking forward to getting the second one.
You have not played Forest Shuffle, from what I understand. Yeah. I think it's one that you should try. It is on BGA. So, but it did not make my list this year, and it didn't make my top 100, but it's a game that I appreciate the mechanics of it and the multi-use cards
Yep, I love that.
from that. But yeah, cool. My number one is a medium weight Euro game that I've been looking forward to playing for a long time, and finally got around to it. And I played at the beginning of 2024, and that is Lorenzo Il Magnifico. Yeah. So Lorenzo Il Magnifico is a dice worker placement game where you have dice that determines the effectiveness of each action that you're doing, and it takes place during the Italian Renaissance, which is an exciting theme, I know, for most people. But it's a very dry game, but mechanically it's a very good game. Lorenzo Il Magnifico.
Okay, Ben, why should I get that game when Grand Austria Hotel exists?
I think there's a spot for both games in your collection. Don't you think?
So I've only played that one once, to be fair. And I've only played Grand Austria Hotel like maybe 2.5 times. I played it half a time in Crawfordsville because we ran out of time. But I don't know. I think I played that game and it was okay for me, but like for me, there's not necessarily. I don't know if I would feel the need to get Lorenzo Il Magnifico.
Okay.
Especially like given Grand Austria Hotel, I'd also add Troyes because like I feel like thematically it's kind of more similar to Troyes, and I would pick Troyes.
So Troyes was my 14 this year for new to me games. Troyes is just so petty.
So lovely though.
Right. So with Lorenzo Il Magnifico, the things you're doing, like you're feeling like you're doing them to benefit you, versus where with Troyes you're benefiting yourself, but you're also doing things to be petty to other people.
Yes.
Like and you can, and you're doing things that are petty for other people, and you're and they just have to sit there and watch you do these petty things, like steal their dice that they had assigned to them, and you're like, oh, here, I will give you this measly compensation for your die that I just stole from you, which is funny, but yeah, I think Lorenzo Il Magnifico is a slightly better game.
I can't agree there, but agree to disagree.
Yeah. But also the expansion for Lorenzo has pink pieces, so if anything, buy the expansion for the pink family members.
Yep.
Yeah, and that is my top 10 new to me games. So Lorenzo, I knew I was going to enjoy, but that one was a surprise for me. Colorado was definitely a surprise. Eloa was a big surprise. I feel like my city would be higher on the list if I didn't play it so much and get burned out on it a little bit. And Distilled was a surprise for me. I also didn't expect to like Sky Team as much as I did. I feel like that might be a game that Andrew might be really interested in.
I probably would. I'm looking at the time, and I do need to head out.
Awesome.
It's nice chatting,
Bye.
and
Yep.
yeah. Here's to some good gaming in 2025.
Yep.
Here's to some good gaming.
Nice.
So I think I might cut the stream now. I think
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, everyone that tuned in. Thank you, Jesse, for tuning in. I just saw you right there at the end there. So thanks for watching this, and happy gaming, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.